What is good, everybody? Welcome to Unfair Sports. Thank you for checking us out here on the YouTube channel. I'm your host, Jay. We got my boy Coop here. Coop, what is going on? It is transfer portal day.
It's raining. We told you.
Players flying everywhere. And we've got thousands of them in the portal right now with a lot of names to talk about. And so, Sooner fans, thank you guys for tuning in. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and hit that like and the subscribe button, as well as the bell notification. We're dropping a lot of content. We're talking a bunch about OU football, college football, and every once in a while, throw a little extra sports in general. And also share, because sharing is caring. So get this out there to other Sooner fans to check us out. Me and Coop's got a lot of info to chop it up with you all about. But first, you know what? Interesting topic. The biggest news in college football right now is this move right here. And I think this is the one that we should talk about first. We'll touch on this. We'll go in about the players in the portals and the players that OU is targeting. But, Coop, you know we got to talk about it. Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, has taken a job at Colorado's new head coach. Thoughts on it? What came to mind? I know you had some feelings around this.
It's prime time. So once Prime decided that he wanted to do some coaching, it was always going to be a little bit of, what's this going to look like? I think that he does have some flair and some pizzazz. He has some coaching capabilities based off of experience. He's got connections. He can talk the game. And if somebody is interested, and you saw the number one defensive back in the nation sign with Jackson State. And so, but that is that's the little leagues. This ain't even a group of five. It's not a power five. So what do I think is Colorado has nothing to lose, right? They hired, it was the Hawkins guy from Boise State. He was supposed to be the next one to take him to the promised land. And if I messed that up, I apologize. But I just, he was supposed to be something and he wasn't. Colorado had a few years back to where they actually showed something. They played big boys and they got ran. So what do I think is going to happen? Me personally, I think that there is going to be a lot of momentum. Think of OU up through the Nebraska game this year. There's going to be some momentum happening. He's going to get a lot of players who are going to be there. I think that they said like there's already been like 700 inquiries or something like that in Colorado State from guys in the transfer portal. They've got a commitment already, and there's going to be a lot of hype around it. But even though it's the Pac-12, solid jab, this is Power 5 football, where coaching makes a difference. Execution makes a difference. We saw it as OU fans this year, and you can make whatever commentary you want about, losing games that were tight. It's because execution. It's because you lined up 18 inches off the mark. And so what do I think is going to happen? I think that they're going to, like I said in the green room, this is the first time since that year where Colorado made a little bit of noise early in the season that anybody's had Colorado's football team in their mouth. They might have been thinking about giving up football at one point. They have not been a part of any of this conference realignment talk. Now they will be the talk of the town. So what's going to happen? What I believe is going to happen is he's going to get some grace on this first year, and he's going to have some opportunity to do some stuff. And, he's going to have a lot of close games. But I think what ends up happening is a little bit of what we saw at Texas A&M this year. You're going to see a lot of big names going there because this big glorious endeavor, and then it doesn't turn out into anything. Now, do I got anything against Coach Prime? No, I ain't got nothing against Coach Prime. I'd rather have him instead of Saban in the Allstate commercials or the Aflac commercials. But at the same time, I believe that he's going to have a good staff around them, and he's going to have every opportunity to succeed. But it's going to be a struggle because this is a different ballgame.
I can't disagree with you in the aspect of how this is a different world, how things are. He's moving up from FCS up to the big boys, to the FBS. He's moving up layers. He is. And to be honest, the biggest thing for me when it came to Deion going to Colorado was that he did skip the line. He was able to jump it. because most coaches are required to go through the traditional paths. You've got to go get some coaching experience at a position and then move into a coordinator spot, and then boom, you can jump up. And one of the things I've heard some commentary around this is, and like really the more context about him going here, is that even though Jackson State was put on the national spotlight because of Deion Sanders, that doesn't mean this is going to continue. This was a Deion Sanders thing. This was a Deion Sanders production. This was a Coach Prime and a primetime production. Everything that he's ever done in his career has been big. It's been Deion, it's been primetime his whole life. Had the nightclubs and all of that. Primetime. That was it. And because of that, him leaving Jackson State and going to Colorado, Jackson State's no longer going to get that attention. It's gone. Because no one's going to be at the level of a Deion Sanders. I think the thing that jumped out to me the most anyway about the Deion Sanders saga is how popular he still is. Like, remember, Deion Sanders played ball back when we were in high school, in middle school, elementary school.
Yeah.
This was the early 90s era of Deion Sanders where we watched him play baseball and football in the same day. You know what I'm saying? We've seen him do that in the same weekend. We've seen him play in World Series and in NFL playoffs. That's something that we were able to see when we were young. What's this, 2022? We're over 20 years past that type of stuff. And it's like, it's crazy. It's been like 30 years since Deion really hit the scene. And he's still this popular. And so it's actually worked with recruiting. It's fascinating to me that that thing has worked out. But at the same time, like I said, he's jumped the line. So he wasn't doing the coordinator stuff at all of these small schools in order to get the opportunity. Jackson State was the only school that said, you know what, screw it, we'll give you a chance after you were a offensive coordinator at the school that your kids were at, and you're going to bring recruits in, sure, we'll try it. And it worked out, which is awesome. But I don't want people to believe that he changed the game truly for HBCUs, because with HBCUs, and for those that are, for the uninitiated, that's historical black colleges and universities, they were created in the early 1900s when black, African Americans were not allowed to go to the schools. So they were created as institutions for education. They never cared about football. They don't have those booster lines because everybody was there for education. That was the only purpose. And then when integration started happening, and and the black players started going to these bigger universities, those schools only settled and focused on education. That was the whole point and purpose. So my point is, that's not going to change. You got to have money for those facilities and stuff to grow. And it was nice that Deion was given half his salary there. But outside of that, him at Colorado, he's making them pony up. I'll give him that. Hell, I just saw a tweet that they asked the school about his pay. Like, yeah, so you guys got the $5 or $6 million you're going to be paying him? They're like, nope. About to figure it out, though. Colorado doesn't have the money to pay him yet. That should tell you something about the scenario that he's going into. So, like you said, I think the one thing that jumps out to me the most to wrap my whole saga up and what I'm saying here is this. I'm curious about what Deion Sanders will do when he starts losing. I'm curious to see what he's going to look like when those L's start to pile up. Do I see him being successful? Yes. I think he's only going to be successful because of the transfer portal. And just like you said, you made the perfect point. He's going to bring in a lot of talent. Kids are going to flock to him. They're going to win some games. But it's not sustainable. We haven't seen it be sustainable yet. The question is, can the transfer portal be a sustainable resource for recruits? Bringing new players in every year and ones that can potentially play. That's the question. Because you still have to recruit those high school kids at the same time. And you're not going to be able to field an entire roster off just transfers. Now, technically you can, because there's over 1,000 kids in the portal right now, and a lot of these schools you can probably bring in 50 players, but there's limits to how many you can actually bring in on scholarship. And most of these kids are looking for scholarships. They're not going to go nowhere just to be a preferred walk-on. So unless he can find a way to make sure that he can get the preferred walk-ons their school paid for, kind of like Utah's doing with their NIL deal, and Texas, I think, is doing something similar, and Oklahoma's doing something similar too, to where walk-ons basically get their school paid for through NIL deals. If they do something like that, maybe, but I'm kind of curious to see where the money's going to come from for Jackson State. But it's intriguing. It's going to be fun. I give him. But the other thing too, I'm gonna give him 2 years. If he has a really good year, somebody else is gonna try to hire him.
Yeah, I got
He's
two
gonna get
things.
Mel Tucker. He's gonna parlay a Mel Tucker job out of this. What you got?
Yeah, you made that comment to me, and that's not too far off. But I see that culture with the Mel Tucker culture. We saw the situation happen this year, and all of a sudden it don't look as good anymore. But if you rewind, if you're watching this and you're Jay and I's age, in 2000, Washington said, "Let's open up the checkbook. Let's bring in Deion Sanders at the end of his career. Let's bring in LeVar Arrington," and they brought in a bunch of high price free agents, kind of at the peak of their game. And they were that first team to just overspend. And it didn't work out. I mean, it was a really, really bad deal. And so I would just say this is like, if that's his goal and that's his thought process is to do that, we're seeing it not work at A&M. And that's why I kind of believe the A&M thing. And then at very, very first, if it goes away because of, you've got a bunch of these prima donnas coming in expecting the world. Well, guess what? They're expecting themselves to get the world. And there's 8 other guys that are expecting the same thing. So there's one point. Number 2, if you haven't seen his initial address to the Colorado football team, that worries me. On one hand, it is, it's something that nobody else is saying. But on the other hand, like there is some the optics of it aren't very good. That he says, "I'm bringing my own luggage. You can be here." So there may be people from Denver. There may be people from Boulder. There may be people from Estes Park, right around that area, and they grew up with Colorado football in their blood. And now you're asking a dude from Atlanta who's never even been, west of the Mississippi to come out here and bleed. And we talk about it with OU about in-state kids all the time. Again, the NIL, I mean, I said it from the very, very beginning. Once you start tossing greens around, the first opportunity for someone to kick you off the top of that pedestal, people will do it, and it'll be hard. And they're biting their tongue, and that's the only thing they're thinking about when they're thinking about you. Now, do I want to see Colorado get back into the swing of things and become competitive again? Hell yeah, because until Lincoln Riley and those Nancys bolt for the Big Ten, I want to see Colorado beat up on them too. I think that'd be hilarious.
Such a petty OU fan.
Listen, hey, it's more of the same. We all knew it was coming.
Fair point. Now, so the only thing I disagree with you on and see is kind of a different look is every school is trying to bring people from random places, right? Now, the speech that he gave, contrary to popular belief, that's said in every single locker room. That's said by everybody. I remember Ed Ogeron tried to fight linemen, took his shirt off in there, and was going to fight them when they were crying and upset because David Cutcliffe lost his job. If you still mad about him, fight me. But that's normal. That speech didn't bother me because it's normal talk. It's just one of those that the problem is, and this is where I agree with you, where it worries me as well, is that everything that they do is televised. It's recorded. It's on camera. They do too much stuff on camera. Well-off media. They're making money off their YouTube channel by putting all this media up there. I mean, hell, one of that videos had over 200,000 views within like an hour. So Deion Sanders Jr. know what the hell he's doing with the social media stuff. He knows what's going to get everybody's attention. He gets those videos edited quickly and puts that stuff out there. They know what they're doing in that capacity, but at the same time, that's the concern for me, is that a lot of this stuff's going to be televised. And when these L's start piling up, I wonder what that televised is going to look like at that point. So
nobody could understand Orgeron either, by the way. So they understood Prime. Orgeron, they thought the Cookie Monster ran into the locker room.
Fair, that's true.